Welcome everyone. Hope you're having a good lunch. My name is Mark Kepler. I'm the Executive Director of the Maddy Institute, at least for a little while longer. One thing I was thinking about when we put this together was when I moved here from Connecticut in 1987, the very first nonprofit I joined was the Downtown Association, because I thought, you gotta have a great downtown. If you're gonna have a great city, you have to have a great downtown. So it's I guess my career 37 years later has come full circle. That I'm now hosting this event. He said I stole his line. That's not true. But I was, last Saturday I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal, and I thought the quote was kind of interesting. Let me read it to you. The quote is, "For decades, downtown office districts across the United States powered local economies, generated commerce, tax revenue, and an aggregation of ambition, talent, and disposable income. Many cities, riddled with half-empty office buildings, hope to survive the new remote work era without bulldozing swaths of downtown and starting from scratch." The article goes on to report that, quote, "Experts say American downtowns instead face the biggest urban makeover in 50 years. Even optimists estimate it will take years and cost billions to complete the large-scale changes to usher central city office districts into a new role, busy neighborhoods where people live, work, raise families, and find entertainment." The 42-year-old mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, Jacob Fry, noted that, quote, "The bottom line is we need to reinvent downtowns around the country. It's about having more people in the core downtown doing something other than just working. It's about having fun," unquote. So the question for us today is whether this $300 million will kickstart a once-in-a-lifetime renaissance in downtown Fresno. We'll start with Mayor Dyer first. Can you provide an overview of how Fresno plans to use that nearly $300 million from the state to transform downtown Fresno? And by the way, how are you going to make it fun?
We're going to make it fun, for sure. When we launch our 3 new trolleys next week downtown, that's going to be the fun part. So thank you, everybody. And let me just start off by talking about why infrastructure, the $293.7 million. Because a lot of folks ask, what caused you to come up with that? Well, part of it was the $43.7 million was part of an infrastructure grant, but the other $250 million, we had some flexibility in terms of application, but we knew what the state was looking for was infrastructure projects that were semi-shovel ready. And we wanted downtown to be that place where we would create somewhat of a catalyst for housing to be developed. We have about 3,000 people living downtown. We need about 10,000 people to get us to a tipping point to create that vibrancy at night. We have some daytime activity that occurs. IRS buildings, the hospital, governmental buildings provide a lot of people downtown during the day, but we know we cannot survive on a 9 to 5. And so we need that after night activity, which requires housing. Developers have been hesitant over the years to develop downtown because when they do the pro forma, it doesn't pencil out. And some of the reason it doesn't pencil out, rents have been low, and there's all these infrastructure costs. Water mains, sewer mains, street, curb, sidewalk gutters, street lights, all of those things, and parking. And so the plan we put together was some green space downtown, $15 million, including a linear park. Streets and sidewalks, I know you do, trails and parks, that's all Mark cares about. Streets and sidewalks, $20 million. Intermodal transportation hub, so that when people come downtown, and especially in the future, we have high-speed rail, first high-speed rail station in the nation, right there on Mariposa, that they've got to get there and they've got to go someplace from there. So intermodal transportation hubs, about $20 million. Water distribution, many of our water mains, sewer mains downtown, far too small to accommodate the growth in terms of all the residences we want, with the potential growth of about 75,000 people downtown. That's what it's capable of. And so we need to change that infrastructure. Much of it's over 100 years old. And then parking. We have about just under 2,100 parking stalls downtown, city controlled. We're adding another 2,000 stalls, and we're going to do it at multiple locations that are very strategic, tied into the housing. So that frees up developer costs, allows them to build their pro forma works, and now they don't have to charge exorbitant rents, and people are willing to come downtown. And I think you all know we have about a 6-month waiting list for people to move downtown, and we really don't have any vacancies right now. So that's the dollars we're going to put in. We already have the $43.7 million for infrastructure that's tied to 862 housing units that have to be done. About 462 of those will be right here where CBS is. That's going to be torn down, and they'll be we're working with the Fresno Housing to develop 462 units there. We'll also be doing parking structures in that location. You'll notice a fence around a warehouse across from Chichansi or got a corner to it on H Street. That is a city-owned property and warehouse. We are now demolishing that, and housing is going to go there. You'll probably see at least one, if not two, parking structures within that vicinity. And then we have some Chinatown work that's occurring as well. And so those are the projects that we're using the funding for. We're ready to go. We have already gone to council, and we have an engineering analysis that's going to be done. We are waiting for the state to award us the first $50 million so we can award that contract to do the analysis in terms of what goes where in terms of infrastructure. So I'll stop it at that point, and I know there's other talk we'll have regarding.
You know, I do more than just trails, but be honest, I mentioned something, made me think of something. Well, I interview politicians as they end their long careers, and I remember interviewing Senate Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg in Sacramento for the program, and I asked him, what advice would you give a young person entering politics? And his response was, pick an issue that no one else is focused on and champion it. So, okay, fine, mine was trails. All of you out there, pick something that you can make Fresno and Clovis better. By the way, we're together. There's no dividing. We're together. Do something that can make the community great. Maybe be a champion of that, and you can really make things happen. And Elliot's been doing this for a while, so I want to transition this question to Elliot about Fulton Street reconstruction project that you worked on. Has it turned out the way you expected, had hoped?
Yeah, so infrastructure is so important for the reasons the mayor said. It's designed to be, it's the things that you will take for granted when they are successful. Infrastructure is working, everything just kind of works. And the situation, if you rewind 10 years ago on Fulton Street, we had a situation where rents were about 3/4 of what they were along Fulton Street compared to the rest of downtown. And the vacancy rates were about triple. So you just comparing within other parts of downtown, you had an area that was kind of weighing down the average. And the truth is, great cities have great downtowns, and a great downtown needs a beating, vibrant heart to drive it. And what we were challenged with is, how do you have a successful, thriving downtown when the densest, most historic area with the most small businesses is the part that's having the most economic challenge? So that is what the purpose of the street project was really to reverse that, right? And what we've seen, I think that we have seen, we're obviously continuing to grow into the future downtown one. We've got projects that are in the pipeline now, I'm sure we'll talk about, along Fulton. But I think the biggest beneficiaries have been the small businesses. If you were a small business in the middle of the block on Fulton Mall before, you had to get people to figure out where they would park. They couldn't see you when they were going to arrive. They didn't know if the lights were on, if it felt safe, if there were other people there. And they wouldn't have known offhand how to get from where they would park to where you were. So a lot of surprising kind of mental, psychological barriers that are now taken care of just by the simple fact of being able to go by, see that it's open, the lights are on, see where it is, pull around the corner, find parking, and go back. So, and the numbers bear it out. So we've seen from 2019, before the pandemic, to today, just along Fulton, about a 20% increase in visitation. And if you go back to 2015, because the city was collecting data before the street project, it's about a 60% increase in bike and ped traffic. And the increase in taxable sales along Fulton over the 5 years after the project were double the rate of what the increase that happened along the Kings Canyon corridor in the same years, by comparison. So the performance, the results are very compelling.
Thanks, Elliot. I want to ask you, you might have seen an article written by Tim Sheehan. Tim, you're right here today, aren't you? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. This guy, if you want to know about high-speed rail, just follow him. He's the guru on high-speed rail. And that article, by the way, is phenomenal, just chock full of information. So I encourage you guys to read it. But he wrote an article in today's Fresno Bee regarding downtown Fresno's high-speed rail station and its impact on the surrounding community. So I'm wondering, Mayor Dyer, how important is this project to downtown revitalization in your mind?
Well, I think high-speed rail is the very thing that has created the excitement for downtown. It's foundational to our future in Fresno, to reconnect Fresno to the rest of the California economy. I think all of you know when I-5 was built, it was built intentionally to leave out the valley. It was built from Southern California to Northern California. And when that happened, the valley was left out of that transportation. This brings us back in because it connects Northern California to Central California to Southern California, and I think before Southern California, probably Las Vegas. And so it is big. And to have the first high-speed rail station in the nation, right here in downtown Fresno, we want it to be the India of the nation, and it will be. And we're working with the High-Speed Rail Authority to make sure that it meets our standards. We have funding set aside to make sure that we connect everything around it. What we don't want with high-speed rail is a place where people get on a train wherever and fly through Fresno. We want them to get off that train, come downtown Fresno, because we have an entertainment district, we have a international culinary district in Chinatown, where people will get off and there will be entertainment that they can go to, the brewery district, retail, shopping. That is what high-speed rail means to us. And so we're gonna have it. And so it really is the catalyst. There's been some issues. Road closures have been prolonged, and along with some folks that have come in and bought some property, land bank, waiting for high-speed rail to not develop their property until high-speed rail is close. And now we have abandoned buildings downtown, we know that. But I think when the tracks are laid in 2025, you're gonna see a whole lot of excitement and momentum in downtown.
Elliot, I want to ask you, what's your thought on this high-speed rail station and the area surrounding it? What does this all mean for downtown revitalization?
Well, I mean, ditto to everything the mayor said in terms of just the importance. You know, asking about the importance of high-speed rail in downtown is like asking what's the importance of having a front door on a house. It really will be the region's front door. But you know, the one thing I would maybe add is that as important as it is, and a driver of things that we're doing, practically speaking, you know, the tone that you sometimes hear of, well, high-speed rail is going to be the thing that saves downtown. Well, practically speaking, it's kind of the opposite of what we're actually doing to prepare for high-speed rail service to begin. We're seeing projects that are happening now. We're doing the infrastructure that's necessary to help those projects happen on a timeline that's in advance of high-speed rail. Because we want, when people are on that train, we want it to be a compelling proposition that you can get off the train, you can stay downtown, stay in Fresno. So it's far from, you know, we're waiting for this to be a silver bullet.
If you read the article of Tim Rowe, he's talking about plazas on either side of the station and really integrating that with Chinatown and with downtown. So it's pretty fascinating. Again, we highly recommend the article that Tim wrote. I think today's meeting. I catch it covered online earlier. So Mayor, I want to ask you about this. You know, I like specific timelines, specific deliverables. So what are the key deliverables and timelines for these infrastructure projects? And when can we expect to see improvements in the area?
Okay, so I think the improvements are already occurred. Chinatown, you got the Monarch of Chinatown that's already built across from the Bass. We've done a number of other things. Hotel Fresno is now taking applications for people to move in. But what you're seeing from us is the demolition of the H Street warehouse is all part of this. Fortunately, we went forward in advance to get the approval from council to support demolition. So that demolition is going to occur this coming month. So that's going to be ready to go. You'll see RFPs that go out for a developer to come on that property and build. And as soon as we get the funding approval from the state, 50 million, you don't have any of it yet. We will then award a contract to an engineering analysis that is taking the area between, we've narrowly focused, between Van Ness and H Street, downtown, between Ventura and Tuolumne. And then on the Chinatown side,
between G Street and the 99, Ventura to 12th, and that is where the engineering analysis is going. So we already have gone through the RFP, we've selected that person. Once we get the funding, we'll award them the contract. They will get their work done. It's about a $3 million contract, and we anticipate awarding the construction in late June for the roads to be tore up and some disruption downtown Elliot. But that's how fast we're going to be moving on that. And then as soon as we get the funding, we're going to be putting out a series of RFPs. And that's going to be for market research analysis. We want to know what businesses we could or should be attracting downtown post-pandemic. Things changed when the pandemic hit, so we want to make sure that we're up to date. We're working with the Downtown Partnership on that. Also doing asset mapping. We want to make sure that we do not displace as a result of what we're doing downtown and in Chinatown. We're not going to lift up downtown without Chinatown. Chinatown's been left behind far too long. And so we have plans in Chinatown for housing to create a catalyst over there by Central Fish. You know, we have a rich history in Fresno where we have an opportunity to have a catalyst district for Japanese culinary food, one for Italian, one for Basque, one for Mexican food, one for German, whatever we want to do downtown to create that culinary district. But you're going to see that catalyst project starting in and around the Central Fish very soon, including China Alley that we're going to be working on starting next month.
I had Armenian too.
And Armenian, of course.
So,
And Chinese, though.
that's right. So, Elliot, I mean, this is actually, if you think about it, it's a pretty amazing timeline. I mean, we're 2023, we're talking about possibly high-speed rail opening by 2030, the latest 2033. So the worst case scenario, a decade, 10 years. And at least in my age, 10 years seems to go by very quickly. So what are some of the potential challenges and obstacles that may arise as the city tries to build out all this infrastructure?
Here's the good news is that I'm sitting here in front of Randall Morrison, who's the city's new capital projects director. You can talk more about city restructuring, but there's a lot of excitement there. And my own excitement is just the Wall Street project is kind of monumentally complex. And Randall was right there managing and seeing that project through to completion. So what I would tell you is every project is going to have its unique challenges. And certainly we have that with Fulton. But the bigger answer is really the time is your enemy. I mean, people need to see results, and just kind of to the questions that Mark has asked. We had the party 10 years ago on Fulton when we announced the Tiger Grant, and now we've got $300 million. It's unbelievable. It would have been unbelievable 10 years ago, the amount of resources. And so, but at that point, I remember that we unearthed and shared a story about the Fulton Mall and the conditions and how it felt at night, and it was a little spooky, and it felt very accurate and current. Except the story was from the LA Times in 1988. And so when Mayor talks about accelerating downtown development, I mean, it's not just the right word and a catchy slogan. You're actually confronting the enemy, which is time. And getting things built quickly, and people are going to see that progress.
And let me just add a couple of things that Elliot reminded me. Before once we found out we were getting these funds, we knew we were way behind the curve in terms of our staffing. We were not going to have the capacity in the city with engineering and a number of other things, the work to get it out, and not to be able to spend those dollars. And so I don't know if you know, the $43.7 million is a competitive grant. We'll get it this year. The $50 million, we'll get it this year, but we don't get the second $100 million allotment until next year, and then the third. If we're not moving quickly and spending money, I'm fearful that there will be a clawback by the state of California. So the first thing we did was we separated out Randall from our Public Works Department. He was assistant director, and we made him the director of the capital projects. And we separated that whole thing, got council approval. We did that in 30 days. That's like lightning speed in government.
No pressure, Randall.
And 160 of 140 people part of the capital project team. It's not just for downtown. We have capital projects all over, a great separation of Blackstone and McKinley. We have about 182 capital projects in Park. So there's a lot of things that we're doing in the city, but that is one of them. Then the other thing we did, we reached out and hired Jordan Sanchez, who is very, very familiar with downtown. She's working with Loopy. Loopy has been downtown for a long, long time, knows every tenant, every parcel, every location. And so does Jordan, but Jordan's more dedicated, along with my chief of staff, Kelly Furtado, to what's going to be happening with these 293.7 million. And we have weekly meetings. We have one today. We bring in our Department of Public Utilities, Public Works, capital projects, parks, all the folks that come into a room, and we're holding folks accountable for getting this done. So when I say we're going to award a construction contract by the end of June of 24 for all of our water sewer, we anticipate all of that work being done by the end of 25.
Now, I want to ask you something, you made me think of it, and that's this whole negotiations going on with the state. You know, originally, there was 300 million, then there was some talk about they're going to claw it back, and can you share with the group some of the issues and people and the background behind the scenes, what was going on to get that money to Fresno?
Yes, there was a lot of movement behind the scenes. Our Downtown Partnership went out with Kelly and got out 150 letters of support. We were working with our Senator Caballero, Assemblymember Miranda. I was calling people in the Capitol, calling the governor every week, and texting them to get this thing done. And because we were about ready to lose it, they were going to satisfy us with 50 million. And so after a few temper tantrums, they realized we weren't going to be there. Sun Valley Community Foundation did yeoman's work behind the scenes as well. And I know Sarah Moffett is here, working very hard on this. So we did everything we could to make sure to keep the pressure on. But I think the real thing was we were able to convince the legislature, because these funds could have went to different places. In fact, there was another location we could have went to in San Bernardino. And but we were able to convince them that we were ready. Our zoning is in place. We're already passed everything through our California environment, through CEQA. We can build downtown 15 stories, retail bottom. We're good to go, we're ready to go. Already doing the analysis on the infrastructure. And so they gave us 50 the first year, and then they locked in the 100 million for the next 2 years in the budgets. So we've got to get this 50 spent along with the 43.7. When that happens, I'm very confident the other 200 is going to follow.
You know, that's a really good point about just being really organized in advance and then having it shelf ready. Those things are super important. And then also keeping the pressure on. One of the problems that I've seen in my 37 years here is that we have a tendency to kind of create a circular firing squad. I just think of the UC that should have been in Fresno. You know, we have a tendency not to be focused. It seems like now we finally learned that lesson. This generation of leadership is kind of focusing on, we're all rowing in the same direction, which makes me very excited about the possibilities. Last question, we'll open up to Q&A, but I want to ask both of you, we'll start with you, Mayor Dyer, first. What message would you like to convey to the residents of Fresno regarding downtown revitalization and what it actually means to the city of Fresno?
Well, the message for me is Fresno's on the move. Great cities do have great downtowns, and we're about ready to have a great downtown. We have the funding in place, we have the partners in place, we have a great plan in place, we have developers in place, we have a stimulated interest on the part of the people that want to come downtown. We already demonstrate that. When you look at our art hop when we, the first Thursday of every month, and you see 15,000+ downtown, we have a trolley we're going to launch next week, 3 trolleys free, called the Hop, and it is going to go from the Brewery District, South Stadium, all the way through Cultural Arts, going up through Tower District, Fresno City College, up to Campus Point. We're going to get those students from those and younger generations from all those locations downtown. And so a lot of good things are happening. And you know, in terms of the interest, the demand for housing, the demand to live downtown. You go to our Brewery District, you'll see 5,000 to 6,000 people down there. We're having concerts now at our Chichansey stadium where you'll have 15 to 20,000 people there. So just a lot of good things happening. I presented on Chinatown at a city design, had brought in some of the best designers in the United States, and I presented on Chinatown. Me and 6 other mayors were there with 7 designers. They fell in love with the future of Chinatown because of our tunnels, because of the potential for that. And one of the things I shared was this was a place that was isolated, intentional. It was an island, freeways on 2 sides and a railroad track on the other. And they said this: if you have an island, make it the best island of Fresno that people want to go to. And that's what we're going to do with Chinatown and downtown.
Well, we at the Downtown Partnership, one of the things that's new, recent, that never used to exist before is really good data about foot traffic and visitors. And one of the things that we know, and we're working on getting even finer grained data, we know that there were 1.5 million visitors to Fulton Street over a 12-month period, recent 12-month period. And we know that they can track where folks are kind of going home, where they're going to work. We know that folks are broadly very representative of our regional population in terms of age, income, education level, and all these different dimensions. And so it's very exciting sometimes, we have to have data, and to be able to show our community and our region that this is a place that our population is genuinely embracing is a pretty neat, special thing. I couldn't escape without mentioning too that we're excited to get a grant for $299,000 from the Kresge Foundation, which is going to enable us, building on the services we provide in terms of marketing and clean and safe services and events that we do downtown to activate things. We're also going to leverage that and be able to have the support to work with some of our property owners, work with the city, help be contributors to this great story that we're writing of how we develop out this downtown and how we create opportunities that spread throughout the economy and our community downtown through that process.
Great. Well, we have a few minutes left. Tony's coming up with my staff. We're going to give her the microphone. If people have questions, I know many of the people in this group, nobody's shy in here. So if you've got questions, here's your chance to ask the experts.
I'll come to you.
Raise your hand.
Nora. Miss Downtown.
As part of the infrastructure, are you going to be doing any more underground utilities? And you know why I'm asking that.
So, we are coordinating right now with a number of entities. The Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District, because I didn't share with you that there is also a $20 million grant that high-speed rail received for the old train depot, and they put in $10 million, so we're coordinating on that. Where that storm drain is going to end up going, the basins, but also coordinating with PG&E, because we want to make sure, I posed this question to the president of PG&E, do you have enough power to supply 75,000 people downtown? So we're having meetings with them to make sure, and the other thing is to underground some of the utilities that they have that are above ground, like PG&E lines. So those are the things that we are working on. The street lights, sometimes if you underground them, people steal, like we went through downtown. We lost about 50 lights because of the stealing of copper. And so we had to go above ground with those wires. So, and I don't know if I hit that question, Nora, or if you're trying to take me somewhere else. Tell me.
It's just some of the alleys are.
Oh.
Lots of different things that we're trying to create some event space.
Yeah, anything we can underground in the alleys, we will underground. That's part of our analysis that we're doing. So we don't want any of that in the alleys. We want freed up, beautiful alleys, just like we want freed up, beautiful streets.
Michael, with the union electricians retired, I have 3 topics in one statement. What is in here that we can get the younger generation involved? Second one, the high-speed rail, the heavy maintenance facility, has that been awarded for a location? And then, is there any restaurants, food and entertainment industries that have shown interest in relocating here? And as long as you're mayor, I will support you.
Thank you. I'll try to hit all of those. You know, the people that want to live downtown are the people that are under 40. I'm just going to tell you, a lady asked me today, why do you think it worked? Where did we go wrong before? I said, we were marketing it to a bunch of old people like me. Like, come move downtown. We're not going to move downtown. We got used to our big house. And so, but there is that demand. All of the activities are occurring, like Fres Yes. How many went to Fres Yes? 30,000 people downtown in one night. It was wild. And you know what? Peaceful. It was a peaceful party. And so there's a lot of activities with concerts. We have one night a month in Chinatown. It is called Kelly. 559 night. I always forget it. And but it's with street eats, and we'll have several thousand people that come down there with food trucks and entertainment and music. So there's a desire and willingness to come. And in terms of the maintenance facility, you know, there was a opportunity at one time we thought that we were going to be selected for the heavy maintenance facility. Well, we set aside some land, partnered with the county, switched over some Measure C dollars to do that, only to find out that probably wasn't going to be the direction. That it was probably going to go to Merced because they wanted it near an inline, not in the middle. But that didn't mean we couldn't get the light rail maintenance, which is better because it comes online sooner and there's more employees, as well as a training facility and a communications center. So those are going to happen in Fresno. Those are a lot of jobs that are going to be brought to Fresno on top of the ones that have already been out there. I don't know, 11,000 jobs created in the development of high-speed rail right now. Was there another one you asked?
Young people, youth.
Yeah.
How to get young people involved?
Yeah, I don't know that we have to get the young people involved. They're coming, right, Tyler? You're young people. Just turned 32 this weekend. And he quickly reminded me, Poppy, you're now officially twice my age. So I think the young people want to come. I would love to see a comedy shop downtown. Joseph? Here's Joseph.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We're here along with young people. 24 years old, art students at USC. We own the Laugh Factory with some of our partners. We have several locations. And they're the young people who told me that downtown Fresno and Fresno in general is the place to really invest. We recently opened the Laugh Factory in Covina, California. And really by accident, I went there and I loved the theater in downtown Covina. And we decided to open the Laugh Factory. We opened across the street, 6,000 square feet Italian restaurant. We opened 8,000 square foot flower shop, huge flower shop at one. So we intend to bring at least 3 brands. Because of the mayor, also, thank you so much. We're so accessible. The mayor is so accessible that, you know, I called him at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, he calls me right back. We're facing a situation in San Francisco. I don't want to add now. San Francisco, we are opening 3 places in San Francisco, and it's been really difficult. We've been in negotiation with the city to rent one of their, empty buildings that's been empty for 5 years or so, and we're having very, very difficult time. Every time we ask for anything, we need 3 weeks, they need 3 weeks to tell us, to answer us back. So this is the accessibility of UMair and the city. Actually, we just arrived from Los Angeles. We made a U-turn in the middle of the street, and the cop waved at me. So I don't know if that was staged, man. So definitely we want to be here. Thank Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for your investment in Fresno. And I feel like I'm his personal real estate agent. I've been taking photos and sending them to him, texting him. But we need the Laugh Factory here downtown Fresno. Nowhere else we need it right downtown. Not to put you on the spot, right, Sabak? And Sabak is the one that really has been marketing downtown Fresno to a lot of people in LA and Beverly Hills and really brought Joseph here. So that's what it's really going to take. I know Sabak is doing a right on the backside of the stadium, some great plans that are in the works. I hooked Sabak up with the owners of Los Arcos, and they're partnering hopefully on an entertainment center there with a restaurant, rooftop, hopefully rooftop bar and some housing. And so there's a lot of good things, and that's right on the backside of the stadium as you walk in one of the buildings he owns. So there's a lot of excitement downtown. JCPenney's 162 units now. Those plans are in. Sabak's Helm building, 100 units. I just met with Reza Sini this last week. He's interested in a large development, but he's already completing the 22, plus he's involved with Will Dyke and the Dada Lofts. So we have a lot of housing going on downtown. And when the housing comes, I promise, when infrastructure happens, housing will follow. Retail, restaurants, and entertainment will come in quickly.
Hello, I haven't been downtown for quite some time. I was pretty impressed with the upgrades since I used to live down there. And one of the things I do remember about building a community was you have to have families, and to have families you have to have schools, you have to have grocery stores to support that. And I would be interested to hear what your ideas are on incorporating that and keeping it sustainable.
Yeah, so part of the market research that we're going to be doing with the partnership, again, we're going to be doing an RFP for a consulting firm to come in and do a number of things. But one of them is that market research. I don't want us to go out and recruit businesses that may not be right for Fresno. Somebody needs to really tell us, based on some data, what the people downtown really want. The people moving downtown, the folks under 40, what do they want? What kind of entertainment do they want? What kind of retail do they want? What kind of food? I mean, all those things, what kind of businesses are gonna resonate? Now we know, for whatever reason, alcohol resonates, because we have a booming brewery district, and next to that, we have the Modernist, and then we have Bespoke. Next to that, we have a whiskey salon that's gonna open. And then we have Loons, the wine tasting on Fulton, across the street from the Tres Hermanos and the China Express. And then next to that, there's another whiskey and bourbon place opening up. So we know alcohol resonates. But what else? What foods are going to resonate with downtown? So it's going to be based on market research.
Time for maybe one more question. Anybody have a question? Comment. Oh, comment. Over here. Okay, ask a question and then a comment.
Mayor, thank you so much for being here. It sounds like a wonderful plan. The only thing I haven't heard in this discussion is Fresno has traditionally had a chronic unhoused problem. And having lived all over the state of California, I know that places like San Jose and other Bay Area cities sort of have a negative opinion of Fresno, and that being one of the larger factors. Could you speak to sort of what you're doing to complement your plan with regards to aiding the unhoused population here in Fresno? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great setup. I think in California in general, we have 12% of the population in the United States. We have over 50% of the unsheltered population in California. And Fresno's not unique to that. We have great weather, etc. I will tell you that when I became mayor, we had 650 homeless people living on our freeways. And if you look at our freeways today, we have no one living on our freeways. And we just need to realize that if we put a good plan together, have the funding, the partnerships, we can do that citywide. And we've done that on our canal banks, although we still have our share of them out on some of our trails, canal banks. We've housed over 2,100 homeless people over the last 2.5 years. And when I say house them, we're not displacing them. We purchased 5 hotels, now 6, 1 on Blackstone, Clarion Point, 5 on Parkway. We partnered with Fresno Housing on 4 more. Those were used for emergency shelter. We're offering services and shelter to the homeless so that they can get back on their feet and have what's called a safe exit. A safe exit from the emergency shelter into other types of housing and a productive life. And I will tell you, 82% of the people on the freeway accepted services and shelter from our outreach workers. We partner with the Paparillo House. We have 20 outreach workers that we pay for, not police officers contacting them. And of those 82% accepted services and shelter, 76% of those went on to a safe exit, either living with family or other permanent housing and back into the workforce in many cases. And so I will tell you the numbers have not been as exciting since then. Part of it has to do we're dealing with more chronic homeless, and we're dealing with those with a higher acuity level of mental illness. Laws are changing in favor of giving us more ability to deal with those folks. And part of our problem is now that the length of time that they're staying in emergency shelters is longer. It used to be 2 to 3 months, 4 months maybe, we're getting them a safe exit. Now it could be 8 months, 9 months. So we don't have the bed availability to get the people there. The other part of it is when they are ready to exit shelter, they may not have housing to go to because we have a housing crisis. We did a One Fresno housing strategy, and we looked at all the needs, the demands, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, what exists over a 3-year period. If we build in our city 6,900 affordable units and 4,100 market rate, 11,000 units, will only meet 26% of the demand of our city. So we've got to build more housing than we are. Blackstone Avenue, Blackstone Simpson, Blackstone Clinton, Blackstone McKinley'sville, Manchester Center, 692 units up top. So we have a lot of housing coming. That's going to help us with our homeless, but we have to have a focused approach downtown when the time is right to set up some boundaries like they did in San Jose.
Oh, thank you. My colleague next to me asked me a question about the alleys in downtown. And he asked me what I did for a living, and I said, well, I'm in the waste and recycling business, and one of the hottest topics in downtown Fresno and other parts of the city is actually replacing front load bins that our transient populations typically go through and creates a mess in downtown Fresno, especially in the alleys. That's been a hot topic as well as other issues. But just want to let you know that if you plan for centralized waste and recycling compactors instead of just open alley containers that our transient population have a tendency to go through, that'll help clean up downtown. Does that answer your question? So we're specialists in doing that along with other companies, because the city of Fresno is fortunate to have 28 franchise haulers, non-exclusive, to do that service. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Kelly, would that fall under infrastructure maybe?
Okay, I mean, is that
That, and I think Norman was telling about, because we do have that other trash compactor behind your place, but that might be able to fall under it, and that may be part of the overall planning in terms of where the utilities are for those trash compactors.
Scattered locations a lot cooler. We know where to put it.
All right, well, listen, I want to thank everyone for being here. A few things before we get going. Number one, I'm remiss in not thanking Council President Helen Maxwell for being here. Shows great support between the administration and the city council. Thank you so much for being here, Helen. And I also want to thank the mayor and Elliot for being here. I have some personal experience with the mayor on a number of different levels, arbitration cases and trails and all the rest of it. But I will tell you, I measure the person by their ability to get things done. And when the mayor first came into office, I had this thing about trails. And we had raised the money to build the Midtown Trail, and it was languishing. And so we had a conversation at a coffee shop downtown. I said, man, we got to get that thing going. And he said, I promise you, Mark, we'll start it in January. And true to his word, he did start it. It hasn't been built. It's not yet built all up yet. It's almost done. But I can tell you, when the mayor gives you his word, it's his bond. It gets done. So when he talks about these kinds of things about downtown Fresno, I'm very enthusiastic about that these things are actually going to happen. So that makes me feel very happy. So thank you, Mayor, for your work, and thank you, Elliot. And thanks everyone for being here. Have a great day, guys.